Okay.
Welcome to the UltraCycling Magazine Show.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the UltraCycling Magazine Show, the show all about ultracycling and all things bicycling in general. Hey Lee, how's it going tonight?
Going good, but let's bring Joanna.
Yep, that's what I'm getting ready to do. Hey Joanna.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Very good. Thanks for being on here with us tonight.
Thanks for inviting me.
Okay, how about turning your phone horizontal for us?
Like this?
There you go. Perfect.
Joanna just got in here a couple minutes. Hey, Joanna, when's your Australian adventure?
We start from Lee Point, north of Darwin, on the 18th of May, and we're hoping to cycle the 4,500 Ks from north of Darwin down to Melbourne in hopefully somewhere between 12 and 15 days. We're riding into the headwind though, Lee, so who knows? It will be trade winds in our faces. We'll see how we go.
Well, why don't you go the other way?
Well, that would be easier, wouldn't it? We should have thought of that.
Well, I want to tell you, if we did, you know what would happen, Joanna?
What's that?
They would turn around on you.
There you go.
Hey, you know it.
They say it's never blown this way in 30 years.
And the day you want to do something, there they are.
Well, we'll talk more. We're going to cover Joanna in that event. We're here, Jim, because of the wonderful people that run the time stations here in
I got to
Ohio.
get my game going here.
Station 41 in Oxford, 42 in Blanchester, where Jim's going to hang out.
Yep.
43 in Chillicothe. And we also want to thank Mike Meehan, the sign man, for putting out all those signs. They will be available at the time stations, $10, and you get a sign, and that helps Mike put one on the road. Great place to collect autographs.
Yes.
They're on your trophy wall. They're on trophy walls all over the world. You should have one too.
Definitely. I totally agree, Lee. I've got one of the old ones and one of the new ones behind me, so.
Yeah, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube. And while you're there on YouTube subscribing, be sure to ring that bell.
Definitely. Do you want to do that viewer question real quickly that you got in the show notes, or do you want me to go ahead and do the report?
I had an interesting viewer contact me this week, and they wanted to know if, since we changed the name of the show, does Race Across America still finance us? Would you like to answer that question, Jim?
Well, the only two people that finance the show are myself and Lee. That's it. We do not have anybody doing donations. We don't have a patron page or anything. So it's just me and Lee, and started out just me and Lee. So that's the way we do it. We do it just for pure love of the sport.
Love the sport, and actually Jim has put a lot more money in it of late than I have, because I don't travel much anymore, but you can get around quite a bit.
Yep.
So yeah, well,
and it's the same thing with the time stations here in Ohio. It's all out of our own pockets.
Yeah,
so
we've had people ask before if does Race Across America pay for those times?
Yep.
No.
Nope.
If you do Race Across America, you know better than that.
I didn't say that.
Well, you're now an employee, so
Quote unquote.
yes.
A licensed volunteer.
Speaking of that, Jim, talk
Yes.
about Race Across the East.
Yep. Yeah, we're going to have a big fun time in Blanchester this year, as we're going to be the start of the new Race Across the East. 628 miles from Blanchester, and we're going to be starting at the high school to Atlantic City. I almost said the wrong one. The route's in my opinion, the toughest part of RAAM route, the finish going through the mountains there, West Virginia, all that. A lot of hills, a lot of climbing, and just a lot of fun. So it'll be fun this year. Right now we've got, there's Blanchester, how we're going to be set up for the most part. That's tentative still, but I think it's going to work out really good. And the time station is going to be moving there also, so I'd have to be flying back and forth during the switchover and stuff. So it'll be a good thing. And we're still at 26 riders out of the 55 that we capped it at this year. So one thing I want to note is ending this week, I think Friday's the last day, maybe Thursday. Friday's the last day to get the normal pricing if you want to ride. After Friday, it goes up.
There's a little tariff.
Yep. So we've still got 26. We got 5-2, 1 4-person, and 13 solos, and still the same breakdown on the countries. So we've got not as many as RAAM as far as countries, but we do have a good mix here.
Okay, and let's get that ticker going, Jim. So.
Yep. Do us a favor and post your comments or questions for our guests or anything you want out there in Facebook, YouTube, wherever. And I got to find the ticker. I'm not on it tonight, guys. There we go. We've already got one comment out there. And if you don't have a question or comment, just post where you're watching from.
Yeah, we'd like to know where you're at.
Yep. And we got Eric from my birth state of Oklahoma. Thanks for commenting.
Yeah, and I should say that if you didn't know, Joanna's in New Zealand.
Yes.
And,
It's summer here. I hate
Summer, I wish.
It's hot and warm. It's been hot out riding at the weekend, and we were up in the 30s. We had a great 300k Roubaix with the Kiwi Ranzaniers here.
Yeah.
And it was hot, hot, hot.
Awesome.
Okay, well, Calvin's Challenge, they've got 10 signed up. It got posted a little late, and I've actually contacted some of the people I know who regularly came to Calvin's Challenge, and the problem is most of them are already scheduled for that weekend.
Yep.
And hopefully, Larry can stick with it, even though it's going to be probably going to be a little thin. Well, we hopefully get some more, but next year I assume there'd be quite a few more.
Yes, definitely.
And there's a discount for previous Calvin's Challenge registrants. Thank you, Larry, for doing that. Jim, tell us about Sebring.
Yeah, definitely. Sebring, we got a good field coming out there to Sebring, and that's the end of March. Last weekend, or the second to last weekend in March. We'll be out there covering it and riding the 6-hour ride on the tandem. So we'll definitely be interviewing a lot of people out there and having a good time. So it'll be a good race, and I'm glad it's back also.
Yes, indeed. And Mary Savage is going to cover Laura and Maria on their cruise bikes, tandem, on their Bents. And that's going to be fun. And I told them, Jim, that they might take a peek at you as they whiz by.
There you go. Definitely. We'll be just
you'll
taking it easy.
Bye-bye.
There you go. Exactly.
Because that should be a fun event. And
yes, definitely.
She does a great job, and she'll be looking at some of the other things as well.
Maybe I'll learn a few tips from her.
Yeah. Coal Country Roubaix, we're up to 48 people there.
Yep.
And we have a little video from Betsy Schauer, who was the first woman to sign up for the 300-mile, and her significant other, Travis.
Yep. Let me see if I can find her.
Hi, I'm Betsy. I am from Dayton, Ohio. I am excited to do the Coal Country Roubaix coming up at the end of April.
My name's Travis Stevens. I'm from originally from Knox County, Ohio, and been in Dayton for 11 years. And also very excited to get in on the very first Coal Country Roubaix.
I'm the first woman to sign up for the 300 mile. We'd love to see more women out there.
You can find the registration for the Coal Country Roubaix in the show notes.
And all these things that we've been talking about are in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
The Florida 500 is finished. Marek Rupinski from Poland, our reporter from Poland, won it as a solo.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't beat Joe Barr's record because
Right.
I guess they had horrible winds.
Always down there in Florida.
Yeah. Can you find that video for us?
Yep. Here we go.
Hello, here is Marek Rupinski. I am after the race. We are after the race. All the.
What do you think? Is this better? Better for Marek? The match is his pants.
Yeah, my team is relaxed after the race. We are just right now in the QS. Look at the view.
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
Yeah, very beautiful. Yeah. Unfortunately, yesterday was not like this, like today. Look at the bike. It was dirty. Yeah, last 150 kilometers about was raining and the wind almost was directly on the face. Yeah, but the condition was the same for all the riders. Maybe next year will be better. See you next time from Jacksonville to Key West, 500 miles. Thank
533.
you. Okay. See you. Marek Rupinski, UltraCycling. Bye. Stay tuned. Hi.
Thanks, Marek.
Excellent. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and I've made note of this Vanessa McKnight. Don't know her, but she's on our radar.
Excellent.
Lam Do's in Vietnam. We've been doing reports from him. Today, he was in his birth, the city of his birth in Vietnam.
Nice.
And we have just a short video from him along with a very special person. Run it, Jim.
My parents were from the north. They're outside of Hanoi. And in 1954, they were refugees out of northern Vietnam.
Good heavens.
After the French left.
The fight with the French.
Right.
Then the fight with the Americans, the American War. Oh my gosh.
So they were
parents.
they were refugees twice in 54 and in 75 when we came to America.
How terrible.
Right. So
Wow. I need to fix my helmet.
Well, that was none other than one of the earliest RAAM riders ever.
Mm-hmm.
She has a number of 16.
Yep. That's one of the old guard.
Kitty Corsol. She's still at it. She did Paris-Brest Paris this year, and she's riding the Tour of Vietnam. She is a stitch, I'll tell you. I've talked to her a couple times on this tour, and we promised her that she'll have a notch on the show come fall.
Mm-hmm.
What a great lady.
Awesome.
And while we're at it, we'll report that Grinny Kartik is from India. She's in Thailand doing a brevet there, 2,024 kilometers. I guess they try to make it the number of the year. And we did have a little video from her, but I'm not going to go to there tonight.
Okay.
And Phil Fox just let us know that he's going to be doing a circumnavigation of Lake Ontario.
Nice.
This fall or this August.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be covering that. That'll be exciting.
Yep.
So he's got Michigan, Erie, he's got Ontario, and then comes the biggies.
There you go.
Superior and Huron. Huron isn't that big of a lake compared to Superior, but it's just hard to get around it because of all the arms that stick out every which way.
There you go.
So we'll be looking forward to that. We look forward to Phil completing that series.
Definitely. That'll be a great thing.
Next week, Joanna's going to be back with us again because she knows Ginger Howell from the virtual Raw a couple of years ago when the pandemic hit.
Mm-hmm.
And she is getting ready to do her first road race and race across the East. And that's going to be fun. And maybe Joanna will have some tips for her.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know about tips. She's fairly fabulous in her own right, is Ginger. I'm really looking forward to seeing her and seeing how
we'll
her
see.
prep's going.
Once you get her together, I'm sure we'll have a great show.
There you go, as always. Excellent. Well, do you think we should bring on Miss Tina Ament?
Tina, yes. Let's get to her. It's high time.
Yes, definitely. Let me rearrange. Hello, Tina. How are you tonight?
Hello. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Well, sorry it took so long to get to you, but we got this new magazine style, and we got a lot of things going on around here.
Hi,
Hey,
Tina.
Hi, Joanna. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm so excited to hear you on the show. My goodness, you're such an epic legend of a lady.
Oh, I'm not sure about that.
Now, you're still really looking for a pilot, aren't you, Tina?
Yeah, so basically, I've been trying to get to do solo raw on a tandem now. I say I'm like the Soviet Union. I'm on a 5-year plan. Because after and hope we don't go the way of the Soviet Union. But in 2018, I was on a all blind tandem team that did Race Across America, and decided that I really would hopefully like to do RAAM someday, but would start off by trying to see if I could do raw as a solo tandem. I had everything all lined up, pilot, crew chief, etc. for 2020, and we all know what happened to that. And also in 2019, I was injured in a freak accident. I broke my hip. The fixation didn't work. I ended up getting a hip replacement that I consider to have been a failure. The doctors don't, but I was pretty much in constant pain from that. And so wasn't able to race 2021 or 2022. Finally got everything together to race in 2023. And then at the very last minute, as in May, my pilot dropped out on me and I wasn't able to race last year. So we're giving it another go, and I've got a lot of things set up and in place again. But my current pilot, who's a different person than the one who bagged on us last year, has had a lot of changes in his circumstances where he is being forced right now to work very hard, as in 80+ hour weeks, and is concerned that his training isn't going to be up to getting him through raw. So he hasn't officially dropped out yet, but we're sort of looking around to see if we might be able to find a pilot who feels more confident about his ability. And in that case, my current pilot would switch over and be on our crew. So that's kind of where I am. I'm looking for somebody who would want to pilot a tandem through this, which is not an easy feat.
I think you're the thing that really stands out to me most about you, Tina, is that your resilience. I can't begin to imagine the added layer of complications that you guys have to go through to get to the start line. I'm having mini meltdowns on a weekly basis about doing my own solo adventure. But how do you manage to keep the motivation to keep training when you've got so many things coming at you with pilots dropping out and that kind of thing? How do you keep going?
It can be hard. It can really be hard. And I have to say, I was in a low place last year when, I felt like I was, and in fact, the day that my pilot dropped out, I had just done an all-night ride on the trainer the night before that happened.
Oh my God.
And I sort of, I rode all night and then went out and went on a gravel ride outside with a friend of mine and came back home to find out that I wasn't going to be able to race. And we tried for a couple of days to try and put something together and find somebody at the last minute, but that is just way too last minute to find anything. And my crew chief at the time didn't feel it was safe to go on. And I was in a very, very low place. I mean, because it and like I said, I guess I have to just, I have to forge ahead and try for this year. But, but you're right. It is, because it's basically like you're training for two, essentially. And, and I can't do it by myself. Like there's no self-driving tandems out here. Tesla doesn't make one yet. So
maybe you should check with Elon Musk could help you there, Tina.
There you go.
Artificial intelligence and all that stuff.
I don't know. April says I don't do anything up front, so.
Well, I think with April, that's probably close to the truth.
See how you are.
Yes.
Tina, can you explain a little bit for me about what the what it's like for, well, I mean, actually, Jim, you can probably answer this too, but what is it like for the pilot? Because I have to be honest, as a solo rider, I mean, the thing that puts me off ever, and I've been asked before, to be a pilot.
Oh, we lost Joanna. I think she was just going to, I'll continue on. Here she comes back. Hang on, let's see if she comes back. There she is. Hang on. You're back on here.
Sorry,
well, you're back. No problem.
Yep. I was just asking Tina, maybe you as well, guys. You've ridden tandems before, but it just seems so terrifying to me, having never done it. And I wonder if part of the reason why people aren't prepared to come forward to pilot is maybe the same reasons it would make me nervous. And maybe dispelling some of those fears might help more people come forward to sort of volunteer to be a pilot.
I think, in some ways it's, not going to lie, I think Jim would agree with me. It's hard. I mean, at least as far as I can tell, because for one thing, you need good bike handling skills. It's just not something that anybody can just sort of hop on and do. And I remember when I was looking for a pilot to do unbound gravel, just trying to explain it isn't the same as riding a single
wow.
And the skill sets are different. And, and not only that, but you have the sort of added problem of, a second person that you have to learn how to accommodate, learn how to get along with. And also, I think a lot of pilots, and to me, I try to convince them not to worry about this, but I think they sort of feel like, they're responsible for somebody else's life. Like they don't care if they crash, but if they crash with another person on the bike, then that's worse somehow. And, obviously, like, I don't feel that way. Like, I don't feel like anybody's like accountable for my decisions in deciding to do a sport that's dangerous or whatever. But I think that's a hard thing to get over.
Yeah.
Tina, isn't it almost a necessity you have to have somebody with previous tandem experience up front?
I think it definitely helps. I mean, in other words, I would never head to the start line with somebody who'd never ridden the bike before. But if somebody were to say, "Hey, I'd really like to do that now," and they were a decent bike handler now, they could be trained up by the time the race was. It's not that hard to teach somebody how to do it. Particularly because this is road riding. When somebody wanted to do Unbound, I said, "Look, you have to be an experienced mountain biker to think about it."
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, I tend to agree with her. I mean, that's always in the back of my mind, the worry about I've got somebody behind me that it's my responsibility for. And the bike handling is also a big thing. Coming from a road bike going to a tandem, riding by ourselves is not that big of a deal, handling-wise. But when you get into a big group, or like on Ragbri or a big race, it's tough because people don't realize we don't stop as quick. It's like a semi. We don't turn the same way, so it's rough.
Your accelerating and decelerating is different.
Definitely.
Now, I started to share a little experience that we had here in Dayton, and I think it fits in here. There's a woman here in Dayton that she's blind. She wanted to race. She had her own tandem. It wasn't the one I would have bought, but it was okay. So she had a little session she advertised. She was looking for pilots. Come out to the park on Saturday, and let's try this. Well, she was trying to teach a pilot how to start and stop a tandem.
Oh my Lord.
People had never done it before. And
I'm terrified hearing it, let alone picturing it in my mind.
So anyhow, I'm there filming this, and she's trying to help people. And I kept thinking to myself, why don't I jump in here and say, here's how you start the daggone thing.
Yeah.
I didn't do it, but it did illustrate to me the problems. If somebody who's had tandem experience knows, how do you put your foot down when you pick it up? How do you make that first crank?
There you go.
Those kind of things. And I think every couple probably does it a little different.
Yep, definitely. I mean, we got a big problem because I unclip left leg and April unclips right leg. So I've got to always remind her when we're stopping, left leg, because we didn't one day and fell over.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
how we did it, Sonia didn't unclip.
Okay.
I would unclip and hold the bike in position, and
Gotcha.
then she would get off.
Yep.
Same thing in reverse. She would get on, clip on,
Yep.
ready to go, and then, she understood that first stomp of the pedal down. She had to pick up
Yep.
till I got in the second thing, and it
Yep.
went just fine after you figured out how to do it.
There you
but
go.
Those things don't come.
Nah, they don't come easy.
you gotta figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember when I was getting ready to do the New York City Triathlon, I had a woman who was such a good triathlete that she qualified for World Championships her first year doing triathlon.
Wow.
The first time she did a half Ironman.
That's
she qualified
impressive.
for Worlds. And, so obviously, tremendously gifted athlete. And we were out at a training ride with her tri club, and we were we had to stop at a light, and we were trying to get going again, and we just couldn't do it. I mean, it was like we kept on 3, 2, 1, go,
Yep.
and then we would just tip over, and all these people were turning around, and they were like, "Can we help? Can't we help?" And she said, "Yes, you can. Turn your backs on us. I don't want you to
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
And I finally figured out. I said, "Look, whatever happens, don't stop going."
There you go.
Because what would happen is we would wobble, and then she would freeze up, and then we would tip over. So I said,
Yep.
"Whatever it is, just go, 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 go." And
There you
as
go.
she did that,
On a
it
tandem,
was like,
when you
boom,
go, you gotta go.
Yep.
It's-
There's no hesitation
no
involved.
turning back.
It's just commit.
Yep.
Well,
Tina, another thing that I've been thinking about, and again, I guess I'm asking questions, but what I'm hoping is going to be some other people out there, some people out there in the States that are really, really keen to do something different. Because to me, if you are going to do any portion of Race Across America, the idea of doing it as a tandem has got to be just epic, right? Because you're experiencing it with somebody else. So it seems to me to be so many positives, not least the huge camaraderie and bond of a lifetime you would have at the end of it. But I'm thinking of people who are solid cyclists that don't step forward to be a pilot. What are the reasons? So I'm thinking of my reasons. One of the things that comes to mind for me, Tina, is I weigh about as much as a wet dish rag. So if I was a pilot on a tandem, is there a situation whereby when you're in a team of two, that weight has an impact on your ability to help balance the bike? Like, do you need to be of a similar weight? Do you need to be a similar height? If I was really short and you were really tall, like, explain to us how that works.
Basically, I mean, generally, tandem bikes are made assuming that the pilot will be taller. So if you have a really, really short pilot and a tall stoker in the back, that can be a problem in terms of bike fit. It's not really a problem in terms of riding. It's just a problem in terms of finding a bike and making a bike that will fit you. The other thing is that if you have a really heavy stoker, what Lee was talking about, it's really hard to hold up the bike if you're trying to keep the person. If the stoker's going to stay clipped in all the time, and they're like a big 200-pound dude, and you're trying to hold them up, not going to go. Like I try never to expect my pilots to do that because I think it's sometimes hard for them. But they'll usually say, "Well, it might be hard with somebody else, but it's not that hard with you because you're 53 kilos, which you're not very big." So, so in terms of that, I think that oftentimes I think teams might kind of gel better if they're kind of similar size. But I've ridden with a couple of very tall guys. A couple of whom got scrunched on the front of my bikes because it really wasn't big enough for them. And I've ridden with some pretty small girls, and it's worked out fine. It's worked out fine for me. I think, generally, I would say that the biggest difficulty is if you have either a big heavy or a big tall or both stoker. That makes it sort of harder in general to make the team go. Not saying it won't, because, it obviously can and has. But that's definitely not a problem with me. Like, I'm, if anything, too small.
So that's a good thing to know. So for all these people that are hopefully going to see this and think to themselves, "Oh my God, what an adventure of a lifetime! I want to be on that tandem with Tina." Then what we're learning about the person that we're looking for here is it really is quite open. You know, somebody of medium to tall height, of really any weight, because you're really small, is really going to be the right kind of fit. It's not that you're looking for this really specific, unique physicality, are you?
Exactly. And especially, you know, if you were talking about something like track racing, you know, it might be a different story.
Right.
But for ultracycling, you know, it's pretty flexible as long as somebody, you know, wants to ride through the night. I don't really care how much they weigh.
Yeah.
So what's the best thing, Tina? What do you reckon is the best thing for somebody to do this? Let's say it's somebody that's not done something quite as epic as your achievements so far, but they're confident on a tandem, or they're willing to learn anyway, to be more confident between now and the race. What do you think is the best thing that they would get out of it?
I would hope that they would just have a really, you know, fun time and a great sense of accomplishment at the end. I know that, you know, when I did RAAM on a team, it was the best week of my life, like bar none. You know, and all these people were like, "Oh, that must have been so hard. Like, weren't you glad to be done?" And I was like, "No, I actually wasn't that glad to be done. I smiled the whole time. I was, you know, I was probably the most even keel of all the Stokers on our group. I mean, I never got upset. Like, everything was fun.
Wow.
I love the climbs. I love the descents. I loved Kansas. It was all good.
That sounds amazing. I really hope that there are some people out there that either think, you know, I haven't for a while, but I've got time to get, you know, my fitness back up, or I've tried it, I liked it, this is my opportunity. Like, I just think you sound like the most amazing person to have an adventure with, Tina. Like, I'm sure anybody who was part of your crew or part of your team would just have a blast.
And I want to say, let's not scare people from being pilots.
Yeah, definitely not. Yes.
Because if you're a good bike handler,
there you go.
It's not going to take you long to figure this out. I mean, it's just the fact that some people are a little iffy.
Yep.
If you are iffy, it's going to take you a while. But, you know, I was thinking if Peter Sagan would get on a tandem, he could probably do a wheelie on it. You know.
There you go. Exactly.
But so let's take that. I have to say our tandem, in our case, was built especially for us. I'm 6 foot. My wife was 5'2", and the frame was designed with that in mind. And then, sadly, I lost my wife to cancer when we were both young and strong and way too young for that to happen. And I joke semi-seriously that when I started dating, I sort of looked around. Would she fit on the tandem?
I love that.
There you go. Exactly. Yep. And I mean, how I got into tandems, we were in Australia on a work trip, and April and I said, we want to ride the bikes, you know, and we didn't have our bikes, so we went and we rented a tandem and jumped on it and had the greatest time of our lives.
And that one you have now is so much better.
Oh, yeah. I mean, night and day. And I mean, that makes a big difference just on feeling good about being on the bike. You know, just like a good bike fit. You know that, Joanna.
Yeah, I'm just feeling to myself, it's almost like, I think it can, and I felt this when we were speaking before and when we had our awesome Kiwi tandem team part of our interview. It just left me feeling so in awe, but also overwhelmed. And so part of me thinks that it's maybe about dispelling some of those risks, concerns, fears that people have. People probably fear letting you down as well, Tina. But I'm guessing from your perspective, you know, you're entering this as a team. Like you want to work together, right? That's kind of the point.
Yep.
Exactly. And you have to be, you know, and both people have to be honest about, you know, what's going on with them. I mean,
definitely.
You know, I've had pilots who've had issues, you know, when had like an asthma attack during a triathlon, and it's like, you know, no, we're going to the medical tent. Like, we'll figure out what's wrong. You know,
right?
This is not like about, you know, you're not you're a team member. You're not
Yep.
like a servant. You're not a machine. I mean, even though like my pilots joke that they are a piece of equipment, which I've tried to figure out if that means we could get adaptive equipment to fly free. Or...
So what's the kind of, in terms of time pressure for you, Tina, you're obviously hoping that things may well even still work out with your existing pilot, but given that that's not the case, I guess there becomes a point which you need to really gel with the person you'll be riding with. And so is there sort of time pressure involved in that?
I mean, if somebody wants to do it, to get a commitment ASAP is good.
Yeah.
I mean, number one, because we have to do things like make arrangements to actually go out there for the race. But number two, so we can make arrangements for some sort of a training week or training walk, whether it's in Borrego or going out to do Bessie's Creek in Texas or Texas Hell Week or Calvin's or any of the races that's coming up. If somebody wants to do that, they would definitely, and I hope to do some kind of an organized race event, because I think that always, is a better indication of like what a race is going to be like.
Yep.
Although it's funny when you're on Raw, because it's almost like you're not in a race because you don't see people very much and you're just kind of off by yourself with your group. So, I found RAAM to be a lot more like doing training rides than say doing, Unbound or Mid-South or something like that, where you're constantly with other competitors and, racing them or drafting off of them or seeing what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I just think you sound to me, Tina, like just one of, and I'm not saying this lightly, I really mean it, one of the bravest ladies that I've ever heard speak before about cycling, because I think your grit and determination and your mental attitude, the way that you just keep fighting through, you've got your goal at the end. I just take so much inspiration from you. You've got so many more challenges to overcome logistically than anybody else I know that takes on these adventures. And I honestly more than wish you the best. You're such an inspiration to me. I feel like the things I stress about and lose sleep over with my own upcoming adventure seem minimal compared to what you have to go through. So yeah, honestly, don't lose heart and don't change, because you are hugely strong, capable, and really inspiring, Tina.
Yeah,
definitely. Oh, I appreciate you saying that. And one other thing about talking about brave, the other thing that pilots should be aware of is you can get some amazing speeds on tandems that you might be really afraid to do on a single. We got over, I think we got to 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, mine top has been 62. So.
Oh my God.
Yep.
You start down one of those mountain passes. I remember coming off of Loveland Pass. Oh my God. I kept thinking the only thing between us and death are these little tiny rubber pads.
There you go. Yep.
See, this is why I don't.
Oh, we lost her again.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but it's at the end of the day, it's worth riding on a tandem.
Oh yeah.
I mean, bottom line.
And the other thing I just thought about, there's undoubtedly blind people out there that would like to ride a bike that don't want to race.
Yep.
Just like to, take the club tours of 50, 60 miles, on a weekend or something like that. And so it's not all, people that want to race.
Hardcore racing. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and a couple of people in the club that I was in a while back, we had a couple of tandems that they would invite blind people to come ride on the back, just on our leisure rides, just to enjoy the ride.
Tina, have you reached? That's a good point. Tina, have you reached out to any of the American Randoneer groups? I mean, I'm thinking here, Phil Fox is really heavily involved in that. But I was riding on Saturday with an American who's over here on holiday, and like any cyclist would, he's taken up some of the Randoneer rides as a way to see the country. And we did a beautiful 300k ride together, and he was from the Minnesota American Randoneers. And a lot of the people that ride in those clubs are not only exceptionally fit, but also, with all respect, bonkers. Because some of the adventures that they take on are clearly not for the faint-hearted.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if there's any benefit to maybe we get Phil helping out with that, Lee, as well, just reaching out to some of the Randonneur groups and seeing if there aren't some in the American Randonneurs that are keen to take on something like that.
I think that's a great idea because I've done a lot of riding with DC Randonneurs a couple of years ago. I had a friend who was a pilot in that, and actually I did everything to qualify for PVP, except we didn't end up going because it was like, this looks like a hassle. And then and it was so frustrating because, 2 weeks after PVP was when I got hurt, and I was like, man, I wish I had just done PVP when I was sound.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll reach out to Phil Fox. He's got a lot of contacts in that community. But I could certainly vouch for the Minnesota club, having met one of their riders on Saturday, Keith. They're absolutely awesome guys, and I'm sure girls as well.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get some interest from them, because it seems to me like a brilliant opportunity for an adventure. You could learn so much from riding with you, I think, Tina, that would also benefit anybody else who is maybe thinking of doing their own solo adventures in the future. They could pick up some great learning from you.
Mm-hmm.
Craig Prather mentioned about the glass elevator.
Yep.
There's one new thing on tandems that we didn't have.
There you go. I know where you're going.
Brakes.
Yep.
Disc brakes.
A lot better than drum or the caliper friction kind. Yep.
So that, of course, you got to use them.
Yes. What are brakes?
You don't just let a tandem roll down the glass elevator.
Definitely. Yep.
That's a good question. Tina, tell me, when you're riding and you're the stoker, obviously you must get a feel for the speed. You must feel the wind going past you. Do you ever get times where you think, I'm not going to say anything, but I wish they'd slow down here? Like, can it be quite scary as the stoker?
Never happened to me, but
wow.
But you're talking to Tina.
There you go. Yeah, it's happened to April with me piloting, so she's yelled at me a couple of times. So now, Tina, knowing that I communicate with April quite a bit, a lot of it's nonverbal, but especially for you, you need somebody that can communicate. How do you handle like when you're turning, since you can't see, the turn's coming up? Do you expect somebody to say, "Hey, we got a turn coming up," or you just feel the bike leaning and go with it?
It's a little of both.
Okay.
I've ridden with a lot of different people, and I'm pretty flexible about, how much they want to say. If they, the only thing is, like you were talking about the unclipping, because I'll do whatever my pilot wants as far as unclipping, but I always forget which side it's supposed to be. So, it's like, so I say, just tell me what you're doing. So if you say unclip left, then I'll do that same thing, or, starting in 2 or whatever, just say like what it is you're going to do. Gotcha. So usually they'll say, obviously if they want me to signal a turn, like if we're on a busy road, it'll say like signal to the left or whatever, then I'll know it's coming up. Sometimes when I was doing randonneurs, we were riding with the GPS on with the phone, so it would say 200 feet, like turn
left turn, right? Yeah.
So like the pilot wouldn't even have to say anything because the GPS lady would tell us. But I'm fairly flexible, because I know sometimes pilots just like to get in the zone and they don't want to talk all the time. And so as long as it's safe, it's fine with me. If they just want to be quiet, it's fine with me. If they want to talk about what's around, I have a great friend of mine that I do RAGBRAI with every year, who he's so funny because he's like, I try to describe what's here, and so he'll go, have corn to the left, soybeans to the right.
There you go. More corn. More people. You gonna be out there this year?
I am gonna be out there this year. Yep.
Yeah, we'll be out there also.
Craig, I gather you have a tandem. You ride a tandem, Craig Prather?
Yeah, because he commented that he'd been yelled at and slapped a few times. So been there, done that.
He's cracking me up, Craig is literally having me in stitches. I've been putting my glasses on so I could see his comments come up, and I'm like, that guy has not had the best time on a tandem, Tina. He's been given a few beatings. I don't know what he's been doing as a pilot, but as Stoker's not been loving it.
I had one friend that I did randonneuring with, and he was asking me if I carried a cattle prod.
Yeah, he says he did a few years ago. So Craig is a tandemer, if that's the correct term.
Well,
Maybe you can come out of retirement, Craig.
There you go.
Tina probably wouldn't be giving you a punch and a slap. I think if there was ever a completely fearless person that you've got like free reign to literally hoon it down every descent and just be brave and bold, Tina is the Stoker that you want, I think.
There you go.
Well, I've told Joanna before that I was a right knuckle descender. Descents scare the living bejeebers out of me. But that's another whole issue. The one thing that we ran into here, I mentioned our friend here in Dayton. She wanted to. She found somebody to pilot for her. She wanted to race. The pilot wanted to tour, and that just they never could sync that up.
Oh. And Craig's going to Sebring. Let's see how that goes first. He says, "Ha ha." So we'll see him out there, and we'll discuss it with him for you.
Yeah, well, maybe with you. Maybe you can persuade him.
There you go.
Sebring is a ton of fun. I'm really sorry that it's not going to be on the track anymore, though.
Yeah, I've never ridden it. April rode it the one year that we went, and she loved the track. So it is sad that they can't do that.
Yeah, I have the all-time tandem course record on that course.
Oh wow!
24 hours.
Impressive. Go ahead, Joanna.
I was just wanting to understand from Tina. I was thinking about this when I was riding on Saturday, looking forward to hearing you. And I was riding around, as I say, doing this randonneur, and it was really, the scenery is a particular area that I really enjoy. And there are times that you get pretty tired, obviously, no matter the distance you're riding. And I wondered to myself, what is it that keeps Tina pedaling? Because there are times when the thing that keeps me pedaling is the fact that I know I'm going to approach this particular area that I find really beautiful, or it's got an alpaca farm or something. There's little things I pick in the scenery that sometimes keep me going. How do you dig so deep when you're really feeling fatigue?
It's hard to say. It kind of depends on what I'm doing, because if I'm here in my house, because of the pilot shortage, I do a lot of my training, my fitness training on a trainer. And I have several different times done like all night rides here, where I'll just get on the bike at 4 in the afternoon and ride for 12 hours on my trainer, only getting off to go to the bathroom and switch out AirPods to listen to music.
Wow.
And you do find yourself at 3 in the morning asking, why do I
what am I doing?
Who am I? What am I doing here? And lots of times with that, it'll be, because this is to do raw, or it's, because I have a big event coming up, or because I want to, have a reason to want to get fit. Outdoors, I think a lot of it's the same as you. Like I rode down the coast of California last fall, and there's just something, even if you can't see it, there's something magical about being in Big Sur, where it's just like, hey, we're in Big Sur now. Like, let's, do this famous bit and cross the Bixby Bridge, and you can hear the ocean roaring over to the right-hand side, and
beautiful.
Smell the salt air and hear the elephant seals when they're, squawking down below, and
wow.
And it's sometimes when you're riding down the coast, it's obviously too like, well, we're going somewhere, right? Because we started in Santa Cruz and we're ending up in Big Sur that night, so it's like you have somewhere you're going, and that's the reason to keep pedaling. Sometimes it'll be if your pilot's having a bad hour or something, you go, well, it's up to me to sort of keep us going while they hydrate or have some food or do whatever it takes to get back, into it. And I know they'll do the same for me.
There you go. Let me give a shout out to Adam Ashwell. Sebring won't be the same. Such an awesome race. Yep. And I'm sure it's going to be as awesome this year or better now since they've switched it. So, and here's another one from him. Go ahead. California coast has to be one of the most beautiful places to ride. That was from Adam also.
Well,
Sounds
listen,
to me like Adam's also somebody that needs to be taking a shot on a tandem at Raw. No pressure, Adam, but
There you go. Yeah.
beautiful places in the States. So I'm just going to say, to coin an Aussie phrase, where the bloody hell are you, mate?
Yep, exactly. Well, Adam kind of semi-retired from what I understand. I can't believe that, Adam. You're too young to retire.
He'll be back. He'll be back. Listen, I hate to pull the plug on this.
I know.
But we can go on here all night. Tina, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We didn't get to go over your athletic CV. It's absolutely amazing.
Yep.
I mean, she holds records. The Sebring tandem.
Yep, that she mentioned.
Holds
Yes.
the record for that. The tandem course record, Borrego Springs.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Bessie's Creek. Yep.
I called her athlete extraordinaire.
Yes.
And she certainly is. And Tina, we hope we can stir you up a pilot, and we hope we can stir up a lot of pilots here.
Yeah, definitely.
Come on,
and
folks.
There you go.
These people out here want to ride, and
there you
let's
go.
get on the stick. I only wish I could do it.
Yep, me too.
I would be out there, believe me.
If I didn't have Race Across the East and RAAM duties, I would be out there for you.
Hey, that's something to think about.
I can pretty much guarantee, boys, that whoever comes in to be the pilot for Tina, we are going to promote the heck out of you guys.
Yes, you are going to get hero status here.
If we've given an opportunity to see Tina take it on this year, I know from my own self, as my little role with UltraCycling magazine, this is going to be my team to follow, and I'll be sitting in recovery myself, so I'm going to have nothing better to do than dot watch and jump onto UltraCycling magazine podcasts to talk about how everyone's going. And it's going to be Tina that I'm going to be following. So somebody out there I know wants to have.
Oh, we lost her. Yeah, they're okay. Yep.
I don't think I can get this show stopped, Jim.
I know. I've got one real quick question. If there's somebody out there that wants to be the pilot, how do they get a hold of Tina Lee?
Well, one thing they could do, they could just send us a message here at UltraCycling magazine. We'll get a hold of Tina.
Definitely.
That's for sure.
That would be terrific. I'm also on Twitter, or X, I guess it's called. At Ironman Tina, and I'm on Facebook as Tina Ament on Facebook.
Okay, excellent.
And very good. And Tina, one thought, if you could, if it worked, you might be able to switch it to Race Across the East. Find somebody to do that for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've already got our digs in Oceanside and Durango.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Are rented, and but if all I have to do is stop in Durango and hop on a plane. If anybody wants to do both,
that would be awesome.
There you go.
There you go. I like that attitude.
Listen, we have to bring this to a stop.
Yep. And I'm gonna cause a problem here, Lee. I'm gonna do one more comment that we didn't get at the beginning, just because it has to do with Mr. Minium and our signs. He wants to know how do you have a link to donate for the signs? They are so amazing to see as you ride across Ohio.
Yes, you do. Go to ucm.bike, our website, and on the right-hand side at the top, you'll see a place where you can donate to Mike and help him keep those signs on the road. That's greatly appreciated. We've had some nice donations actually across the years.
Yes.
But I think it's still, I'm sure that he puts a lot of his own money into it.
Yep.
Not to mention the travel it's involved to.
It's a lot of work. I helped him, so I understand.
Yeah, you're talking about 400 miles or more to put them up and 400
taking them back down.
Yeah, to take them back down. So, he would appreciate any help you could give him.
Yep, definitely.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say thank you again so much for having me on the show, and just wish everybody out here who's training for RAAM and Race Across the East and RAW.
Yeah.
Best of luck to everybody, and I hope to see you all out in Oceanside.
Definitely, we'll definitely be following you as you complete the race.
Adam's got a post there, Jim.
Let me go back there. Hang on. Boom. Without you guys in Ohio, Navigation Ohio would be impossible. We've had officials get lost before the signs were out, so I understand that.
Got a lot of turns.
Yep. All right.
Especially over there just before you get in Ohio and Indiana.
Yep. So excellent. Well, we appreciate Tina for being here. It was a great show, and we learned a lot, and hopefully we can help you find a pilot so you can be successful in RAW. And Joanna, as usual, great job. Thank you very much.
Next week we have
Thank
Ginger
you so
Howell.
very much.
Next week we have Ginger Howell on, and Joanna will be back with us again.
Yep. And now let me see if we can find our good friend.
Don't go away, guys.
Yeah.
This is Gregory Zuber, thanking you for watching and sharing.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.